Oh man, just as I thought you were going to start to get some work done, you're back on YouTube watching a random setup video to validate some stuff you already know. That's alright, because this is a very different channel than you're probably expecting, unless you know me. I'm pretty opposed to those ergonomic office chairs. I think they're very ugly, and you can get much better ones from art supply stores. This one was from Blick, I think. No, not Blick. That's the stereotypical art supply store, but yeah, look for art stools because painters also spend tons of time sitting and they're way cooler and way cheaper. All right, and then let's get into, I guess there's some room decor. I want to get drawing more, but I have a couple of my drawings and a couple of Roman posters I got from my school's classics department that was giving them away because no one takes that as a major anymore. All right, let's get on to the actual desk stuff. Oh, so I've got a big old drawing pad. I don't know if this will show up. And then my main kind of working area. I put this in the middle of it just for the sake of the thumbnail. That wasn't actually there. That would be kind of ridiculous. So, probably saw this keyboard first off. This is a Ferris sweep. It's actually not plugged in right now. I don't know where the cable went, and the reason I put it there was also just for the sake of the thumbnail. I used to use this, and I'll get back into it eventually when carpal tunnel inevitably sets in after all the typing, but don't use it currently. It was just kind of bait to get people to click. It lets you control a computer completely mouseless, and I have a very comfortable setup for doing that. I can just type faster on a laptop keyboard, so it doesn't matter. Now, you're probably also wondering, glaring thing in the thumbnail is vertical monitor. I put that there because I know people, workflow enthusiasts, are very familiar with the idea of vertical monitors for programming and math. For instance, I can read textbooks very effectively on this. See, this is the Zathura PDF reader, so I can scroll with the Vim motions. I can actually do D to split it into quads, and it has dark mode, and this is like a scanned PDF. This is for real analysis course, and I think I have one for, differential equations. So that's pretty nice. Like, you can zoom and you can get a great reading experience on this. But to be honest, I just rotated this last minute off the cuff just for the sake of the video. I don't actually do that because I find that you don't need a vertical monitor. You can just scroll. Like, it's not like I'm taking in a whole thing. Maybe if I was looking at like a really tall diagram, it would be nice. But yeah, I barely even ever use that monitor. I mostly use my laptop for work. And you don't need a crazy setup at all. I thought for the longest time I should put time into optimizing my setup. It's kind of like cleaning your room. Like, it does help you a little bit, but it's not ultimately what will get work done. And you should really like focus on that because you can get a shit ton done with like a very bad laptop with a small low resolution screen. I guess I should also probably talk about what brand of monitor it is. You see, it's BenQ. Now, when I was thinking about making this video, I thought I'll put tape over that. I don't want to give them free publicity, but actually I do want to give them free publicity, just free negative publicity. So the problem with this monitor is it's very expensive because it's 4K and it's got a bunch of features. I got it for free by winning my school's computer science fair a couple times, and they gave me Amazon gift cards and it stacked up to the right amount, and I was like too lazy to really do all the optimizing research to find the best specs for balance point, but I still wanted something like on the high end. I don't know. So BenQ is what I got. They're kind of known for being programming monitors because they have a 4:3 aspect ratio and very, very nice colors, and it's a 4K monitor. Very bad refresh rate though, I think 50 hertz. The problem with BenQ is they've advertised so much and done so much promotion that any company that does that you should be skeptical of, because it means their budget, at least a good chunk of it, is gone away from development and into advertising and sales. Not to say that companies don't need to do that to, like, it's a necessary part of the business cycle. It's just like a little bit kind of sketchy. When you see a company that's just advertising super heavily, it means their product is taking some hits. So if I were to buy another monitor, I'd probably go for a more stable company, a bigger company, with more time and research put into it and less promotion. But you know, it's all like, that's such a micro optimization, it really doesn't matter, and this is a great monitor. So that's all there is to say there. I do think it's a scam in terms of what kind of specs you're getting for the money, but it works for me. And I actually don't even really use a monitor most of the time. It's usually rotated the other way, and then I unplug this. I was doing like math reading a little bit and article reading, but now it's just too much of a pain. I just use my laptop, to be honest, stock keyboard, nothing else. Let's see, what else is in here? I keep my drugs right here. I like to be constantly distracted by tempting things while I'm working. just because that like lets you train your willpower near constantly, and it'll make you, that's a joke, don't do that, horrible idea. You should not do anything like that. I just have to disclaim that because some people will not understand that sarcasm. These headphones, for the longest time I couldn't get into them because they were too heavy and I was just using Apple AirPods. But I got these for like 30 bucks off eBay. They're AKG, which is a company you don't see often in America, and I think it stands for like acoustic something, like acoustic but in like the weird Germanic sense of the spelling. And these are it's like a very high-end audio company that hasn't really broken into US markets as much, and you can get them very cheap on eBay because there's like a lot of overstock suppliers. And I like these a lot better than any Sony or Bose or whatever I've tried. Not to say those don't have great high-end headphones, but yeah, the specs you get on something like these are like studio headphones for like really nice, they're wired, but I listen to a lot of pretentious music. And yeah, I like to listen to YouTubers with something like this and then roast their sound quality because I can hear it with these huge speaker drivers, even though 95% of the rest of the audience can't because they're using normal consumer grade headphones. But yeah, AKG, great company for high quality audio if you just want something cheap and something that works. I guess another thing I should go into is like the mouse and cable management. So I have this mouse here, never use it really, just for high pixel bed wars. Haven't played that in weeks though, so it might go under my desk. And oh, the desk, that's a great point. I actually got several sponsorship offers from companies like FlexiSpot and others, but I'd never do sponsorships because I hate that kind of thing. It's just so fake. And you can get a much better desk for really cheap, and here's how. You find a door at a lumber supply store, just like a piece of really cheap plywood. You can get these for like 20 bucks if you know where to look. Then you go to your hardware store and you buy 2 sawhorses, and then you put the door on it. And this thing is stable as hell. It's like the perfect height. You can store. Okay, that was weird. I don't know if that hitting the desk caused like real structural damage to the building, but weird coincidence. Yeah, you can put a lot of storage things on it. I do climb, for anyone who keeps telling me repeatedly, wait until you discover bouldering, bro. To be honest, I don't love it. Like, it just kind of hurts my hands. And like, I'm someone who can do a lot of pull-ups too. I'm not a weak guy. What is going on down there? Someone's pounding something into the wall. But yeah, great for storage. You can put all this stuff on the sawhorses. It's just like a free extra mechanism. And yeah, compared to like a FlexiSpot standing desk or something, standing desks are cool, but if I want a standing desk, what I do is I go to my kitchen counter and then I just stand and work, and I don't even really like that. I mean, I feel like it's a nice idea on one hand, but I think like as long as you just like exercise and stuff and don't like crazy hunch over, yeah. I guess also this art stool is pretty awesome. It's not like exactly that adjustable. You can see how greasy and terrible it is down here, and sometimes the back like slides down and falls off, but I just fix it and it's not that bad. It's not the end of the world. Pretty ergonomic. I also like that it's not like a hole all the way up the back headrest kind of thing. Kind of feel like there's a lot more ventilation when just like your lower back is just like a piece of wood it's leaning on. You're not dealing with all this cheap Chinese manufactured synthetic fabric and whatever. Not that, well, that is pretty bad actually, but this is probably also just made in China, so it's equally bad environmentally destructive conditions, so I can't really be talking. My cable management solution right here, I used to be the type of person that would like tuck everything behind everything and try to have like clamps. Well, I didn't actually ever buy clamps, but I try to have a very good, management situation going on for all of that stuff. But now I just don't really care. I prefer accessibility. I used to put my power strip under the desk. Now I just slap that bad boy like right on top of the desk so I can plug stuff into it. So I've got just a MacBook charger, and then like my monitor power plugs in there. And then other than that, I just plug in like a bunch of, I don't know if you can see, these are all just like USB-C chargers for mics, and then I have a Garmin charger also plugged into that, and it's just very accessible to get everything plugged in like the way I like it. A great thing to do also, just in terms of placing your desk in your room, because someone who's been weirdly obsessed with this kind of meaningless productivity stuff for years, something I never really considered was like putting your desk in front of a window, I always kind of thought like, oh, you'll wash out your monitor and it'll be all bright and bad. The great thing about putting your desk in front of a window, first of all, if you have to make any kind of videos or video calls, maybe you're not a producer of videos in the same way I am, but maybe you have Zoom calls or whatever, the frontal lighting in your face is very flattering, so that's one big benefit. The other thing is you get a nice view to look out, and it also doesn't wash out your monitor. In fact, putting your monitor on the opposite side of the room from the window is much worse because there's like a bright contrast, but you can see your monitor very well. And yeah, it'll just look super nice. Let's see, is there anything else I'm really forgetting about this? Oh, I guess for people that are interested in art, these desks are so good because they're just massive, and this also fits so well. I don't know if you can get the whole picture of the desk here, but it fits like perfectly between this wedge of the room, and it gives you like, I don't need a huge sprawling space. I could put myself in the middle like I'm some kind of villain, but it just gives you like basically two desks, because I can just move my art chair over to that other seat for other activities. I've had this chair for years and years and years now, by the way. It's never fallen apart and never like shredded like any cheap fabric would, because it's just wood. And yeah, the art setup, I have this big, huge drawing pad and this littler kind of drawing pad. The big, huge drawing pad I got because I wanted to put up wall art and draw more. But yeah, I've been busy with a lot of things recently, so I haven't had as much time to do that, but I like to just leave it out there and eventually maybe start drawing on it. It's kind of a big commitment on that stuff, but honestly, I've also considered sometimes like I'll just do a very free form math plus drawing kind of situation where I'm just like sketching out things and playing with ideas. Oh, here's the pens I use, by the way. Micron 08, Micron 02, and 05. I picked these very meticulously based on tons of reviews, and by that I mean I just went and the first pen I saw that was like reasonably priced, I bought in 3 different sizes with basically no consideration as to what those sizes were. So yeah, that's the process there. I don't really know anything about pens. I guess that's about it for this video. Sorry, it's rambly and unstructured, but maybe that's what people want to hear more than super structured, boiled down, here's the best things you can do. I think those like productivity desk, like ultra focused setup towards 2025, and they've got their Vim panes and all that stuff. Like it is cool to see that, and it does have some benefit. I mean, it's hard to kind of remember that everyone starts at a certain place, and that I have like a lot of background knowledge, and I've been in this time wasting by doing things that save me time hobby for so long. I've kind of become familiar with all the concepts like single monitor setup, like vertical monitor for reading, and all Pomodoro and timers and minimalism and like split wireless keyboard so I don't have to use my mouse. But a lot of people also don't know about that. So I guess this is kind of geared less towards the beginners that are blown away by those minimal setup videos and more towards people who have done the minimal setup stuff a little bit already. Yeah, so just an important reminder, I put so much time into all this stuff and thinking about it and optimizing the cost and buying all these things and organizing my room. And ultimately, if I had just sat down on my laptop and started typing away like I was doing in the beginning, like I used to have a laptop stand, I used to have like a monitor, and it's all this different stuff and all this cable management, and it's like, dude, a computer is a computer. You just sit down and start typing on it. You could be on the couch, it doesn't matter. This is kind of what I've converged upon, to not like waste all that effort I put into learning about this stuff. This is kind of like the best snatches of information I've taken from it all, but yeah, it's not super necessary. All right, I'll catch you next time.